used all my same strategies. I would have had a jet, honestly, probably 10 years earlier. And I regret that. I kicked myself a little bit. So you guys are in a position to like grow and push and crush. And based on your experience, as you're evaluating like what you want, what you're going after, a jet may or may not make sense for you to put on that board because it is the total expression of freedom. And here's how. Your time has a value. More advice I wish I had gotten years earlier is your time has a value. And when you're entrepreneurial like you all are, no one likes thinking that their time has value. Instead, what we do is we focus on the money that we're making and we focus on being more commission oriented. And then we get ourselves to feel good saying, no, I control my destiny. You guys all know what I'm talking about? Like I can knock a few more doors, I can pound harder, I can push harder, and I can up my income. You all know what that feels like, yes? The downside of that is that we can be so deluded by the freedom that we don't actually measure the data that matters. And here's the truth. Whether you make a lot of money or a little money, when you work, your time has value. You should know right now exactly what you are worth per hour. And you should know 90 days from now exactly what your time is worth. And you should look at that every 90 days. And you need to see a trajectory where you force it to grow. When I started measuring it, it went from under $20 an hour to $50 an hour. And then I thought, there's no way you can get it to $100 an hour. You have to be like a lawyer. And I got it to $100 an hour. When I got it to $500 an hour, that's when I realized I'm paid like a top tier lawyer. I'm paid like a top tier doctor. That's probably the cap. Then I pushed it to $1,000 an hour, $2,000 an hour. And I remember when I got to $5,000 an hour, I'm like, it can't go beyond this. Then it got to $10,000 an hour. Then it got to $50,000 an hour. And then I stopped having the thought, it can't go higher. I'm like, this thing is never going to stop. Because there are Elon Musks, there are Warren Buffetts, there are people in the world that are worth millions an hour. So then I pushed it to $100,000 an hour, and I pushed it to $250,000 an hour. I pushed it to over $500,000 an hour. Currently, I'm currently working on making my time worth $1 million an hour. I know I'll get there, and I know it's easy because I'm measuring the right things. I know the value of my time. I'm taking my jet to be with Josh in Elite today because Josh knows the potential of this company. This day is worth millions of dollars. It's a great use of time. How did I arrive at making this choice? Right? Like, it's $30,000 to take this jet down and back. That's the cost of running this jet to take the Strait. And it is so worth it because I understand the value of my time and I can measure it. So if I have one piece of advice based on what a great gifted career that you're in with huge upside potential is, start measuring the value of your time and then challenge yourself to always increase it. And I promise you, there's always a way to increase it. Does that make sense? Now here's part of how you increase it. In solar sales, you can only make your time worth so much before there's a cap. Is that true? Yeah. Everything is capped. But that thinking is what hurts us. If you're making as much money as solar can provide, and if you're smart with your money, what do you do with your money? You invest it. Now, if you're an idiot, you put it in a 401k. Because you'll find that, wait, when I'm doing solar, my time is worth this. When I put it in a 401k, it's worth nothing. What do I mean? I mean, it's worth 5.5% to 6% a year. And IRAs worth 6% a year, but all the professionals will tell you 401k, IRA, earn 3% in annuity. That's so amazing. It's not. These are the dumb mistakes that the financially uneducated make. How I make my time so valuable is not by spending my time. It's how I get my resources to work for me. And my resources are universally controlled by money, but they buy me people that are assets. They buy me talent. They buy all sorts of things. It is now, I'm being paid based on my ability to lead, not by what I know, how I lead. Did you see the leadership that just happened with Josh? leadership, I promise you the next 9 months will push Josh to learn things about him he doesn't yet know. It will make him a better leader. And because he's not leaning on growth from 2 years ago, but something from today, he will lead different. His value will go up. His team, hence, will be more inspired. Their results will individually increase. The team will expand. His company valuation will grow. He'll have more cool stuff that he can give everyone, including, I'm not just paying you in solar. Here's real estate opportunities. Here's other opportunities. So you need to have a core economic engine. And solar is a perfect core engine. If I could tell everyone, find a way to get yourself to earn between 100 and then 250 and then $500,000 a year. Once you get between $250,000 and $500,000 a year, that is enough money for you to invest tons if you're smart. Now you're either going to increase your lifestyle, and there's a horrible future cost to having it all today versus having a good chunk of it go towards your future. The more money you get working for you, you'll get to a point where you learn to find investments that pay you 20% a year, 100% a year, 500% a year, 1,000% a year, or tens of thousands of percent a year. Those are all out there. That's what the wealthy do. They're obsessed with making sure that when they work as an artist, their time is valuable, and then all the money that they earn as a high-level professional gets invested more and more intelligently with time, so that collectively it gets to a point where it's overwhelming. You'll always be an artist some way doing what you love. That's the goal. But when you get your money working for you at the highest level, there are no limits to what you can have. Okay, so there's two things to invest in. One thing for you to invest in is you, and one thing for you to invest in is people or investments that work for you. Businesses work for you, people work for you, they're assets. Okay? So let's talk about what investments you make into yourself. At the most basic level, a gym membership costs money, yes? Right. Your time to be in the gym costs money, yes? But if you're constantly pushing yourself to grow and challenge yourself to become stronger, and then to learn the discipline of eating a certain way so that you can add muscle to your body, you're sacrificing, you're expending energy and paying a price for something in return. That's an investment in your health. But similarly, I don't make food. I pay people to make sure food always magically appears for me. That's an investment into me. So I have an assistant at home. She prepares all of her food. She also makes sure that the house is organized. She also makes sure that the kids are helping keep the house clean and put together. I have other people that organize my schedule. An executive assistant. Why do I pay these people to do these activities? Because that is an investment that I pay to reclaim time and bandwidth. So, for example, there's all sorts of basic elemental things that many of you know. Like, for example, do you know who here knows their bank account number? Do you know the last four digits of it? Yeah. Do you know your social security number? Yeah. Do you take your clothes to the cleaners? Do you have clothes that you take to cleaners? No? Okay, well, at some point you might own some threads that you want to have professionally cleaned. But the point is, do you go to the grocery store? Do you go shopping? Do you run errands? Do you go ship things? Like, do you make things happen in your world? Most of us, our lives are filled with very important minutia. Minutia means it's important and it's even urgent, but it doesn't mean you have to do it. So what it does is it costs you time and it costs you mental bandwidth, because people's minds are trying to juggle, well, did I do this? Check this off the list. I need to do this. To have a very successful life, you have to balance lots of stuff. What am I investing in my woman? What am I investing in my kids? What should I do? Who's going to organize? Who's going to set it up? Who's booking that hunt for me and my son? If you're the one that is doing everything, then you're the lone wolf like most people are. Part of making really good money is so that, yes, it can be invested, but part of that investment is to buy back time. Because let's say that your time is worth, let's say you get it to the point where it's worth $250 an hour. Well, you could either work 20 hours a week because you're needing so much time to balance all these other things, and you could argue, no. I earn so well per hour, so I don't have to work as much. And I also have to do all this other stuff that stresses me out. Some of this stuff we hate. Paying bills, whatever, being a responsible human, adulting. Well, what if you could remove 20 hours of minutia, pay someone else to do it, and you worked an extra 10 hours. 10 hours a week at $250 is $2,500. That's an extra 10 grand a month.
What's up, Kris Krohn here, pausing this podcast real quick to ask you a question. What would I do different than you financially if I woke up in your financial shoes? Well, my friend, I would become a multimillionaire as fast as possible. And I would do that by making some different choices. And if you're curious on what those choices are, I've got a trained team that offer free game plans. Literally the What Would Kris Do game plan. If you want to know the choices I would make in your financial situation may be different than yours, click the link below, request a free game plan. Let me and my team show you what we would do.
Technically, $11,800. What could you do with the $11,800? You can have a $50,000 a year assistant that costs $4 of that, who helps manage all that, and you're reclaiming time. Less stress. So people look at me and they're always like, the number one reason why people don't hit their next level of achievement is they say, I don't have time, I'm too busy. Dude, look at my world. I own hundreds of companies, right? I travel all around the world. My wealth keeps becoming like bigger. So it's really just a way of, it's a matter of how you invest in yourself and how you value yourself. So make more money for your investments and for yourself, to buy yourself time and to buy yourself bandwidth. With more bandwidth, you'll be better at sales. You'll lean in deeper, and leadership goes to another level. Well, and the reality is, talking about leadership, you're either working in the business or you're working on it. Working on it means that you have capacity to think about it when you're not doing it in it. You don't get that unless you organize your time right, so that you can do that. Most people, they either work as an artist or they get capped. They live life at their standard of living is what they make. And then their life is filled with minutia. And then they lose time for the gym, or they lose time for special people in their life. They lose time for doing things that they feel they should do or connecting to God. And it's because they're too busy. When someone says I'm too busy, all that really tells me is they don't know how to balance their commitments and they're overcommitted. You don't have time for the things you don't have time for. But you don't figure that out unless you have time to work on your life instead of just being in it.
Everything falls apart.